Welcome to the What If podcast with your hosts, Spencer Worth Davis and Ryan Copperrood.
Hi guys, welcome to the show.
What up? It's happening.
I wonder how they liked hearing British Lady again for the first time in a while.
We'll see if I remember to put her in there or not. The people have spoken, apparently. We got to put her back in.
There's an overwhelming amount of support for reintroducing British Lady back into the show, and we shall oblige.
Well, you know what? As poorly as that Facebook poll went for the non-British Lady supporters, only one person actually gets a vote on whether or not British Lady ends up in the show. So we'll see what happens.
Well, technically, it is. I was saying technically it's both of us, but no, I'm like, nah, at the end of the day, you're the motherfucker that drops it in.
This is not a democracy, guys. I'm sorry.
Although, if you do want to have a chance at this being a democracy, join our Facebook group, because there's like going on 1,000 people in there, and there's a whole bunch of really weird and hilarious memes and fucking sweet fan art. Shout out to Shelby.
Sick.
Dude, did you see Shelby's fan art?
I sure did.
It's you reading me a Christmas story.
It sure is.
And there's alien ornaments.
Yeah.
And there's stockings for you and me and Bear.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome. I love you, Shelby. Sincerely.
You want to talk about the weird shit that we kind of teased last week?
I'd first like to talk about your health and well-being.
Oh, I'm great. I'm fine.
Guys, we're doing...
I had like a 6-hour run of poor health, and I made a swift and full recovery.
Guys, we're doing a new thing here. For the first time, Spencer and I are recording the show in different locations.
Well, we're like a mile apart.
We're in roughly the same location, but not specifically the same location.
I think we're still in the same zip code, just not the same room.
That's true. But there was a little too much yarts in the Spenny household this past week. So
yeah, my house is on health quarantine at the moment.
Yes. Thusly, I'm drinking gin in my own house and waving to you through a video call. And we'll see if you guys can tell any ding dang difference.
You just got to go outside and scream everything you have to say, and I'll point a microphone in the direction of your house.
Dude, we should do some version of like what's the Morse code, but with flashlights from our rooftops.
I'm just gonna string XLR cables together until one reaches your house.
Oh, what?
Guys, patreon.com/whatifpodcasts. So we can buy enough XLR cables to run the mile from my house to Ryan's house.
Fund our brilliant ideas.
Hell yeah.
We can climb electrical poles. No one will know the difference. It's just one more wire up there.
No, we just got to get our Elon Musk on and build a tunnel.
Hey, everybody get your Musk on. What? Dude, that sounds like a scent. That's gross.
Get your Musk on?
Everybody get your Musk on.
Man. That's me before I go to the club.
It's the holiday season. Dress yourself in pine burrows and bourbon. Get your Musk on. It is time.
Gross.
I'm glad to see that you've made a full and swift recovery, Spencer.
Oh, yeah, I'm doing great, bud.
So I think it's extremely important for us to do a very short recap of what happened last week so that we can help people understand what's happening this week.
Well, I mean, the episode's out there. You should go listen to it. It was a good one.
You should. It was a great one. Last week we talked about the Vatican Secret Archives, which is a library underneath the Vatican that houses, well, we don't know what it houses. We talked about some of the things we know it houses, but last week we also talked about some of the things we think it houses. And we teased the Chronovisor. We teased a thing that is
not real?
I was going to say, is suspected.
All right, guys, episode is over. Goodbye. 4.5 minutes in. That's all you get today.
Hey, do you guys remember how sometimes we put giant, like, quotes around the beginning of an episode and then quotes around the end of the episode? This is one of those.
Put allegedly at the front and beginning and the middle.
Yes. Allegedly, one of the items contained in the Vatican Secret Archives that we are not allowed visibility to at all is...
Because
they're secret, hence the name, is the Chronovisor. And
for those of you that can't hear through Ryan's accent, he's saying the Chronovisor, as in time and vision.
Yeah. What do you think you can... Hey, guys, what do you think you can do with it?
See through time?
See through time, Spencer.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy. So, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, sure. It is allegedly a functional time viewer. And it first documented, so to speak, in a book called The Vatican's New Mystery, or Le Nouveau Mystère du Vatican.
Sick, bro.
How you like my French?
You fucking killed it, dude.
Thanks, bro.
I'm fucking proud of you.
By Father Francois Brune.
It's like you didn't even barf 24 hours ago.
Thanks, dude. It's been like 36 at least now. Closer to 48. I've been killing it.
Dude, I'm so proud of you. Your stretch is really good. We should create a paper chain and add a ring every day you don't barf until you barf again. I can't believe it, you guys, it had been 16 fucking years since Spencer threw up.
I'm so disappointed in myself, honestly. That fucking sandwich took me down after 16 years.
I mean, honestly, like, food poisoning is a good way to do it, man. I've drank with you before. We probably should have thrown up from drinking at some point in the last decade.
Still have never done that one.
And again, I am proud of you.
I intend to keep it that way. Anyway, the Chronovisor. It's a thing that apparently allows you to view different points in time, primarily in the past. And a guy named Father Francois Brune wrote about it in his book, The Vatican's New Mystery, which was released in 2002. I tried to find a copy of this book, and the closest one to us is at the University of Notre Dame.
What?
And it only exists in French. There's not an English translation of it, so it wouldn't have done us much good anyway.
Come on, Padre, holler at your boys.
If we have any French listeners in Indiana who want to help us out, that would be greatly appreciated.
We've made some specific asks on this show, and that is one of the more specific. Are you bilingual? Do you live in Indiana? Do you own a car? Can you go to Notre Dame?
Do you have an abundance of free time and no real desire to be compensated for it?
Can you please translate that whole motherfucker for us quickly?
Thank you. Also, how do you feel about piracy?
Tight. Please sign here.
In this book, allegedly, because now I'm going off of secondhand information about a book that I think exists, Father Brune talks about this Chronovisor, which was allegedly built by a man named Pellegrino Ernetti.
Which, come on, man. What a name.
Yeah.
What a name.
Shockingly, an Italian priest and scientist.
You think.
And Ernetti apparently made this thing that allows you to see specific events from the past by tuning dials to a time and place. Yes. So it's described as being like a TV set with some extra tubes and knobs and antennas on it. And you can enter a time and location that you would like to view, and an image of that time and location appears on this screen. And Ernetti and Brune claim that this Chronovisor has allowed people to witness some very specific and very important events in the history of the Earth and humanity.
Interdimensional time traveling TV. It's ABC.
It's such like a 60s sci-fi Twilight Zone ass idea to begin with.
Channel 666.
Right. Like, oh, what if we had like a special TV where instead of 3 channels, you had the 3 channels and the crucifixion channel.
Heyo.
If we had buttons, that's where I would have put an air horn.
Also,
maybe I'll add one in.
Not for nothing, but like, you know, maybe we'll get there. Just the whole crucifixion thing. It's like, I get it. You're a Catholic priest, but is really your first thing like, oh, dude, I could see any moment in time. You guys want to go watch Jesus die? It's like, what?
Also, like, what? It took a while, man. It was not like El Moment.
Yeah,
Dude
right.
was up there for a few days. Like, you guys strap in and watch this man slowly die.
Or is it? So one thing that I couldn't gather from my reading on the subject Is it actually like TV, or is it just come in like slides, like snapshots of the time that you put in? Because
are you saying is it still images or video essentially?
Yes, or some combination of the two, where it's like a sequence of still images that come every determinate amount of time, like a slideshow almost. Well,
I'll answer this in two ways. First, it is neither, because I don't think this thing is real.
I'm playing the game. If we're entertaining what the story is, how is it described? Did you see any?
The closest thing to proof of this thing that we have are a couple still photographs. So there were two photographs, one of Jesus being crucified and one of Jesus walking through a field with some of his disciples that were put forward as evidence of this chronovisor, images that were taken from or with this chronovisor.
Was it, and my understanding was those images were taken with a camera, allegedly, of like the screen in the chronovisor. So they were like reproductions of reproductions.
Right. I don't think there was like a screenshot function. I think they had to take out a film camera and point it at the screen.
Get it together, Pellegrino Ernetti. Oh, all I can do is see through time, and you can't even take a fucking screenshot. I could do that in 2 keystrokes on my computer.
Dude, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, right? For what it's worth in the context of this conversation, Ernetti lived from 1925 to 1994. And we do know that Pellegrino Ernetti was a real person. Like, there is documentation of Ernetti being a real live human being in the world.
Yeah.
So for what that's worth, it's not like Francois Bruin was like, and then there was this guy, and he just fucking like made a bunch of bullshit up from the jump. Well, like, we do know Ernetti was a person.
Yes, he may also have made a bunch of bullshit up.
Well, and that's something we should talk about, because as far as we can gather, Ernetti participated in this conversation with Bruin.
Yeah. So this thing was built in, the 60s, right?
That's my understanding, yes.
And Bruin and Ernetti worked together to build this thing, along with a team consisting of 12, I don't know if that's 12 total or 12 additional scientists.
Yes.
So either 10 or 12 other people.
I think it's important for us to cover a couple 2-3 of who those alleged scientists were.
Yes. So Ernetti identified 2 of those additional people as Enrico Fermi and Werner von Braun.
Now, if you remember, Enrico Fermi had a pretty sick nickname, which was the architect of the atomic bomb.
Or horrible, depending on how you look at that. But
well,
sure.
Yes, I was not applauding the atomic bomb in actuality.
Hey, you know what's cool? Killing a whole bunch of people real fast,
blowing shit up. No,
and ruining parts of the earth.
Yeah, exactly. No, but Fermi was one of the initial architects of nuclear power and nuclear bombs in our age. He won the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1938 for some of his work. Did a bunch of stuff on quantum theory and all that stuff. So for me, was like a very extremely famous Italian-American physicist. So
and von Braun made
big
rockets.
Name. And von Braun made rockets. We've talked about von Braun multiple times on the show in the past. You want to know a quick fact, Spenny?
I would love to.
Neither Fermi nor von Braun were alive at the time of this book's release to confirm or deny their participation in such a project.
That's convenient.
What do you think about that, bud?
That's real convenient, the way that timing worked out.
Is that problematic or no?
Nah. Why would that be problematic? I'm sure they would have confirmed it if they were around.
I'm just saying, Catholic priest Father Francois Brun Brunet, I don't know, someone will yell at us via email, Brun or Brunet, made some pretty bold moves by bringing up some pretty big names of some very real people and was like, guys, guess what we did together? Like, whoa.
So yeah, they built this thing that looked like a TV, but could track individual people throughout time and record both visually and orally, as in audio, what they were doing at a specific time.
So I was extremely curious about how a priest who had these conversations with a scientist and brought up such bold, big named scientists, how they would even remotely posit how a thing like this could or would work.
Well, the closest I could find to an explanation for like the operating principle behind this thing is that events and people leave behind some sort of electromagnetic radiation that is unique to that time, that place, and that individual. And that by figuring out this unique electromagnetic radiation signature, you could sort of dial in a person, a location, an event. And then somehow this was translated to a visual image and sound waves. That part is very unclear to me.
Yes,
but
it's all very unclear to me.
To be fair, I don't really understand how normal like TV or radio transmissions work either. So
you know what, my dude? That's a very good point.
There's plenty of stuff that I don't understand that definitely works. So
yeah, see, I'm out here like, I don't understand it, so it's probably bullshit. Meanwhile, my dumbass doesn't understand a lot of things that are definitely not bullshit.
Meanwhile, we're talking to each other in a way that neither of us understand right now.
Not even a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's the basics of like what this thing was and how it was alleged to work.
I'm totally with you. My lack of clarity comes around. I actually kind of dig the concept of there being some sort of like electromagnetic signal left by human energy. I think human energy is a thing. I don't know what that means, but I think it's a thing. Like you get reads for people's energies, and I think those can be left on like plants and animals and potentially like places. I don't know. But what I'm trying to say is, how could you distinguish when a signal was left and just navigate through thousands of years of like stacked on top of each other electromagnetic radiation signals in a location? Now we're stretching the story for me.
Right. And I think the way that this idea supposedly came about is sort of interesting and more plausible to me, which is that Ernetti was, along with another priest, Father Agostino Gemelli, they were recording Gregorian chants, and they were making these recordings in an effort to study the like acoustic and harmonic principles of these chants.
Whoa, this is new to me. I did not know this.
And how they like resonated within certain spaces. And so they were making these recordings, and Ernetti claims that while making one of these recordings, he heard the voice of Gemelli's father. So he's working with this other priest to make these recordings.
Whoa.
They hear the voice of the other priest's father speaking to his son, Father Gemelli.
Whoa.
And
it's trippy, man.
Yeah, his father who had recently passed. And so this kind of got him on the path of maybe there is a lasting impact of people on times and spaces after they've passed on.
Huh.
And I think that idea is like very prevalent in our society as a whole, but specifically within Catholicism and Christianity too.
Which part specifically do you mean? The idea of like leaving a lasting impact kind of thing?
Yeah, and there being an afterlife and there being communication between the present and the past and this life and an afterlife. And,
Right.
I think that idea has been around forever, essentially.
Totally.
And it kind of ties into one of the more plausible explanations for a lot of the like ghost and paranormal and EVP activity to me, which is that it's often called the stone tape theory, that much in the way that like audio or video can be stored onto a magnetic tape, that same information can be imprinted onto like physical spaces. So that might be an explanation for what we would call like a place being haunted, or there being some sort of paranormal activity in like tied to a specific location. That there may be some sort of really powerful or traumatic or meaningful event that happened there that was recorded onto this physical space itself.
So two questions about that. One, my audio engineer home slice. What is actually happening when audio, I don't even know if you know this, when like audio is put to tape? Like, what is actually happening in that moment?
Like, how does magnetic tape actually work?
I think that's the question I'm asking, but I don't even know if that's even the right question to ask.
The short answer, I don't really know.
Okay.
Somehow, I don't really know. And that's what I was getting at earlier, is like, this stuff sounds wild to me, but a lot of things that sound wild to me are real, and I've accepted because I've just seen them working, you know?
Right.
Like, I don't understand on a like electrical or physics level how my voice is being recorded onto my computer right now.
Right.
I know how to make it happen. I know how to reproduce it. I couldn't tell you
the science
operating principles behind it of how the vibration of my vocal cords turns into zeros and ones, and then I can play it back for thousands of people around the world without any cables or anything. Like, none of that. I don't have a fucking clue.
Yeah. Not to mention in a matter of like minutes.
Right. And I think that's part of why like this idea doesn't seem that crazy to me, because what I just described sounds even more crazy to me.
Yeah, that's true.
I know it's reality.
That's real. That's a good point. I think the other thing that I like about and this is kind of goes to my second question around like that whole concept that you were just talking about, is that it makes sense to me that like traumatic events would leave a signal in ways that pedestrian events would not. So when I was thinking like, oh, well, how do you get back to the crucifixion, right? Like, how do you just go like you comb through all of these electromagnetic signals? Maybe it's just you go to high points, like inflection points in history, and those leave a signal that is actually like readable.
Yeah.
Look, I'm working hard on Father Padre Brun's half here, okay? Behalf.
No, I feel like that event is very meaningful to some people who believe in like a bigger meaning behind that event.
Also, they crucify people every week in that same place.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if at the time that event would have stuck out that much. Like, lots of people die on a daily basis. And at the time, lots of people died in that specific fashion.
In that specific place.
Yeah. So I don't know. And then I still have a huge problem with like, even if that information were being recorded somehow, accessing it with that degree of specificity seems impossible to me. That you could, from the Vatican in 1960, somehow tune this box of wires and tubes to an event that happened 2,000 years ago, you know, whatever, thousands of miles away, and be like, oh, there it is. Let's watch it happen and let's listen to it and let's take a picture of it.
Right.
Just is totally implausible to me, no matter how it would be operating.
I agree. I co-sign your statements.
And then also, like, the descriptions of it don't do much to, like, alleviate that concern or that skepticism for me.
Of the device itself, you mean?
Yeah. Ernetti gave a description of how this thing was supposed to have operated and said, quote, processing residual electromagnetic radiation left over by numerous processes. That doesn't say anything.
Extremely specific, my dude.
Numerous. Oh, how does it work? Oh, numerous processes.
Get your musk on. What? Everybody get your musk on.
In addition to the crucifixion, Ernetti claims to have witnessed through the Chronovisor. He checked in on Napoleon. He checked in on...
Did he pat him on his little head?
I don't think you're able to actually physically transport to these places and times.
Oh, you're right.
You just can look at stuff. He checked in on the founding of Rome in 753 BC. He watched a couple ancient plays, Roman plays. Yeah,
which the Thyestes?
Sure. Close enough.
Thyestes play was an interesting part of this. Did you read or look into the Thyestes play thing at all?
I did not.
So Ernetti alleged that he had witnessed, amongst the list of things that you're talking about, that he had seen a performance in Rome in 169 BC. Nice. A performance of the lost tragedy Thyestes.
Okay. Why is that important?
So it was alleged to be written by Quintus Ennius.
Tight.
Yeah. Gonna go with that. Quintus Ennius. But there is suspicion that the play that was discovered later was actually potentially written by Ernetti as a way to say, look, they discovered a play. I told you that play existed. Long story short, he's saying, I saw this play by Quintus Ennius called Thyestes. And then much later in life, a rendition of the text was found. And he used that as a way to say, look, this is how you can believe me. This is how you know that my shit was real, was I told you a play existed, and then that play turned up years later.
The one thing I made up confirms the other thing I made up.
Exactly. And there, a woman named Catherine Eldred, Dr. Catherine Eldred, she's a professor at Princeton University, made an English translation of that Thyestes text that turned up, and I don't know how it turned up. I didn't see what capacity it turned up in. But Eldred stated at one point that she believed that it had been written not by the father of Latin poetry, Quintus Ennius, but by Ernetti himself, again, as a way to sort of bolster his case around the fact that he was actually time traveling.
Seems like that would be pretty easy to determine for anyone familiar with Ennius's work, wouldn't it be?
I would say so, unless as a priest, maybe you have read so much Ennius throughout your life that you could maybe fake it till you make it, or try to fake it till you make it.
Or maybe you're just banking on there being a very limited number of people who could call you on said bullshit.
Right. Yes, maybe that. But
okay.
That's the only other piece of quote unquote allegedly alleged evidence of this being a real thing was not just claiming that he saw the play, but that the play became a real play after he said the play was a real play.
There's one more, piece of evidence that I came across.
Dude, the stank that you said the word evidence with was just so good. Evidence.
There's all of this information is coming from like some forum or some .blogspot or like there's almost zero actual information.
There is a Wikipedia article about it, but
yeah,
the Wikipedia article states pretty early on, like, well, we don't know if this thing's real.
Right. And the closest thing to an actual source is the one book in French, and the closest copy is several states away from us. So whatever. I think we've done enough to say that this is probably nonsense.
Well,
the Vatican has never confirmed or denied the existence of such a device, but apparently in 1988 made a statement saying anyone using such a device would be excommunicated from the church.
Which,
if it doesn't exist, seems like an unnecessary statement, does it not?
Hey, listen. Hey, Mom, listen. There is no, I promise, there is no weed in my sock drawer. But if there was weed in my sock drawer, I don't know. I can't finish that in a way that actually makes sense.
I was waiting for it. I couldn't find any actual anything providing a quote or source for that statement that the Vatican apparently made.
I looked too and couldn't find it either.
Okay. So that may not be a real thing, but if it is, that does sound weird to make threats about the existence of a thing that doesn't exist.
Hey. It's not real. But if it was real, we'd beat your ass if you touched it. Oh, we'd excommunicate the fuck out of you. Hey, remember heaven? We told you all about heaven. If you want to even think about heaven, you better put the chronovisor down. It's not real. But if it was real, you better put it down.
Anything else that you want to address about the existence or functionality of this thing before I tell you about how I found the aliens in it?
Hey-o. There is another book that I was not able to get in time for this, but I find interesting, by a man named Peter Crossa, which is called Father Ernetti's Chronovisor, The Creation and Disappearance of the World's First Time Machine.
Well, Ryan, I think in the spirit of this episode, just because you haven't read the book shouldn't keep you from speaking on it.
Okay. So I can't say much on it because I didn't look deep into it. But it does tell the story of Ernetti and the disputes and all this stuff. The question that I had related to this book was this book by Peter Crossa came out in 2000. Father Francois Brunet's book came out in 2002 called The Vatican's New Mystery that included this story of not only the story of Ernetti, but also of Brunet's personal relationship with Ernetti, which is how he learned a lot of the facts in the story that he tells in The Vatican's New Mystery. And we do have some evidence that Brunet and Ernetti actually did know each other. So the question I want to know is, did Peter Crossa and Father Brunet actually know each other? Did they talk about this? Was there a coordinated effort to put out both books? If there was no truth to it, how did Peter Crossa have any evidence of this thing being a real thing? Did the story live elsewhere? Because I haven't been able to find a documented version of the story that comes into the picture before the book that came out in 2000. So
it does seem odd too that this was supposedly happening in the 60s.
Yes.
And then there's no record of it. Well, not true. There were a couple newspaper articles in the 70s.
Yes.
But that we have this like 30-ish year break before it like really comes into the pop culture realm again in 2000/2002.
Right. And then 2 books come out within 2 years of each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't know.
Why, if this information, if we're going from the standpoint of like, this is a real thing that existed, was used, is housed somewhere in the Vatican, the story like leaks out in the 70s, and there's as far as I could find, 1, maybe 2 newspaper articles about it that again were not in English and I couldn't find good translations of.
Yeah.
And then 30-ish years later, 2 separate people write full books about it.
Yeah. And like, and where did the color to complete that story come from?
Yeah. And why that time gap?
Right.
It wasn't like there was new information put forward, I don't think. And there was very little information ever to begin with.
Right. No, completely.
Were weird shit books just really, really cracking in the early 2000s and publishers were looking for content, or like
maybe the initial Peter Crossa book came out and Father Brunet was like, man, I've been knowing Ernetti. I'll write that fucking book way better, man. He told me a shitload of stories and then came out and did it.
Dude, I am convinced, by the way, that we could make a fucking killing writing books and specifically ebooks. TM. Right? Like, have you stories like this that like there's a shred of truth somewhere, right? The Vatican archives are a real thing.
Yes.
I'm sure they have some very legitimately like
crazy shit,
cool and weird and crazy shit housed there.
Absolutely.
That the general public does not have any information about. Like, that's a cool and real concept.
Right.
So many of these books are not well written, are totally fucking off the rails from the jump.
Sure.
And then like even little stuff like the design and layout just sucks. And, they're only released as like 30-page Kindle books. If we could put together just like 5 good concepts, we could make a fucking killing.
I think our next request, like we still get episode requests and suggestions on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and email like all the time, and we appreciate them very much. I think our next set of requests in 2019 needs to be like, hey, yo, what should we write a book about? I told you, I have like a relatively fleshed out idea for a book that you and I need to write at some point. We talked a little bit about this, didn't we?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. We talked a little bit about this, and I think it's the move, man. Would you guys, 612-246-4614, hi at whatifpodcast.com. If Spencer and I, y'all, I'm an English major. I write professionally as part of my job. We have designer friends. Like, I'm also a designer as part of my job. Like,
I record audiobooks as part of my job. Yeah. I think we got this.
Would you guys read our books if we made a What If series?
Also, Ryan, I haven't told you this yet, but I'm going to just run it past all the listeners and you at the same time.
Heyo, on-air production meeting.
What do you think about making some merch or like shirts or bumper stickers, or maybe bumper stickers would be best, that just have our phone number on them and nothing else?
Oh, man.
Just to see what kind of wild voicemails we can get.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
If we made some stickers that just had our phone number on it, would you guys put them on stuff? Or if we made shirts with just our phone number on it, would you wear them?
Here's an important question. At what volume input does Google Voice shut you the fuck down?
There's only one way to find out. I'll pay for that extra storage.
Hey guys, your phone number was free until you got 3,000 phone calls a day and we shut you the fuck off.
Well, we'll get some good voicemails in the meantime.
I mean, dude, I'm totally down. We just have to put What If on there somewhere. Just What If. 612-246-4614.
Ooh. That's actually great. That would inspire even more curiosity about that random ass phone number.
Right, exactly. And then we got to change our voicemail message to something that's like totally different.
Right. I don't know what it is right now, but yes.
It's me like yelling into the phone. I was literally, bro, I was laying.
Fucking of course it is. What else would it be?
I was laying in bed when I first set up our phone number being like, I think this is going to work. And I just held my phone on speakerphone and was like, hey, it's Ryan. I think you got to our phone. So say some cool shit. Leave your name if you want. Okay, bye. Like, that's pretty much what it is.
I should have bet every dollar I've ever had on our voicemail being you yelling because of course it is.
Dude, speaking of things you guys should do to hit us up or join, the fucking the subreddit is slowly growing. It's just the What If podcast, and it's slowly growing. And I definitely put a post in there the other day that was just in all caps. And a listener responded to me with, "Why are you always yelling, bro?" And my response was, "'Cause I'm only good at a few things, bro." Yelling happens to be one of them.
Do you want to hear about the aliens?
Are we going to talk about the aliens before or after the deathbed confession?
Oh, let's do that first, because I think the alien talk is going to take us to a very different realm.
As it always does, my guy.
Tell us about deathbed confessions first, please.
So, an anonymous relative of Father Ernetti said that on Ernetti's deathbed, he told his family that he had, in fact, written the text of the Thyestes play himself, and also that the photo of Christ, quote unquote, alleged photo of Jesus Christ, was manufactured. But
yeah, okay. Sorry.
No, you're good. I waited too long. The pause was too pregnant, and there was
too dramatic.
It's too dramatic. But he also maintained to his death that the machine was real and that it was functional. And I get the impression it was sort of like we didn't have a good way to document that the machine was real and functional. Like it was in some working order. And so we did one of those things that conspiracy theorists often do, which is like that whole, I know this is real, so I'm going to like help it be more real.
You try and punch it up a little bit,
except you end up fucking yourself because it just looks like you're a liar. But apparently that was
because you're lying.
Because you are.
That's why you look that way. Yeah. Because
I guess what I mean is like you look like a liar about the entire thing, even though
it's generally how lying works.
You only lied about part of it, but you look like a liar about the whole thing.
Yeah. I think we left this out earlier, but the photos that were alleged to have come from the Chronovisor have been matched pretty closely to existing paintings.
Right. They look like drawings of paintings or photographs of paintings.
Yeah, I think they're likely photographs of paintings. So like a painting of the crucifixion of Jesus and a painting of Jesus and his disciples.
Got it. And the photo is just like a zoom in.
Yeah, and it's been, it's just like a bad quality photo that's been scanned poorly of existing paintings. And people have actually A-B'd them, put them side by side, and you can see that they're basically identical to existing paintings. So those are almost certainly faked.
Womp womp.
The aliens.
Where they at though?
There's a gentleman named Alfred Weber.
Sick.
Who wrote a book entitled Omniverse. I took one for the team. And I purchased this ebook, this Amazon Kindle book, for $7.99, and I've read a good portion of it.
Oh, we're gonna crush it, dude. We're gonna write 1,000 of these, and we're gonna sell.
That's what I'm saying.
We're gonna sell 100 a week.
Idiots like me are giving $7.99 just to talk about this dumb shit on their podcasts. Like the market is there, bro.
We might be the only market, but it's there.
Well, we exist.
You and me, man.
Alfred asserts that the Vatican, as far back as the 1960s, not only had this technology, but they were working with the CIA.
Uh-oh.
Providing this technology to them for covert applications.
Got it. Makes sense.
And Weber calls this technology in like the more umbrella term for this chronovisor technology, quantum access.
Ooh, fancy.
And that there were other similar devices that allowed you to look through and pinpoint specific locations in time.
Okay.
He
Yeah.
He also claims in this book that through this partnership of the Vatican providing this technology to the CIA, that the CIA was teleporting Americans to a secret base on Mars.
Holy Jesus.
Which oddly
just gonna send it, bud. Good God.
It ties in strangely well with some of the remote viewing stuff we've talked about in the past.
I guess, yes.
If you recall the time we spent with Randy Kramer.
Randy freaking Kramer.
And the Chronovisor.
Perfect.
That's going to be the name of our first book.
I was just going to say, that's the name of the book, right? That's our new Hardy Boys fucking trilogy.
Dude, do you think that the copyright on the Choose Your Own Adventure books are up yet?
Ooh, I don't know.
Can we just make a what if Choose Your Own Adventure book?
Should we own the swearyboys.com?
Ooh, don't just say things like that out loud on the podcast.
We're not live.
Not do it.
We're not live. We're not live right now. Please hold.
That should just be our spin-off podcast where we talk about other stuff.
We only swear. It's just an uninterrupted 30 minutes of curse words.
Every episode is just 15 seconds long.
God fucking damn. And then we just it just stops.
So
creative cursing brought to you by the Sweary Boys.
Alfred Weber claims that we were sending people to Mars. And he claims that we were interacting with people and things there.
I'm sorry, was this related to the Chronovisor, or this was just related to the technological experimentation of the time?
He's saying that the Chronovisor and derivative technologies thereof were supplied by the Vatican to the CIA, and that these technologies supplied by the Vatican to the CIA resulted in this program in which we were teleporting people to Mars.
Okay.
Tracking, sort of?
I'm here.
Okay. He claims the basis for this technology is that there are many, if not infinite dimensions, and there are beings or entities that live in all of them. And by using certain technologies, we can interact with or at least view these different dimensions.
Okay.
And he goes on to explain that this communication can happen through the use of various technologies such as, and this is directly from his book, TV, radio,
such as the Chronovisor,
photography, fax machines.
Great.
He has a section about getting faxes from ghosts.
Dope.
Also put on the list, faxes from ghosts.
Oh, wow. Yep, very extremely strong.
Okay, so he takes this all to its logical conclusion, which
I know it won't be.
Which is an extreme government conspiracy, in which, as a young man in the early 80s, Barack Obama was part of a secret CIA project to explore Mars.
Oh, boy. Uh-oh. Oops. And
he's talked to two gentlemen named Andrew Bisagio and William Stillings, who assert that they served as, quote, chrononauts.
Sick.
For DARPA.
Wow.
And they encountered Barack Obama as a young man on Mars.
Okay.
But back then, his name was Barry Sotero.
Do you think...
I can't wait for the end of this question.
Do you think that we make twice as much money by just inserting random famous people into our fake books and lying about the shit that they've done?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think
you're taking notes on this, right?
Yes, absolutely.
You're drafting an outline for our first book right now?
No, I'm not drafting an outline. I'm creating our publishing company, which we do own The Sweary Boys and swearyboys.com now. So
perfect.
Thanks, internet.
Swearyboyspublishing.biz. Might want to grab that one too.
BRB. BRB.
Between 1981 and 1983, Obama visited Mars twice.
Oh.
And the way he got there was by using a teleportation chamber that they called a, quote, jump room.
Totally. Of course. I mean, how else would you get there? You got to use the jump room.
Mm-hmm. And this gentleman, Andy Basaggio, had one interaction with Barry Soetoro, a.k.a. Barack Obama.
Hey, yo, Barry!
In which they walked past each other on Mars, and Barry said to Andy, quote, "We're here," end quote.
The most well-spoken president we've maybe ever had was just like, "We out here." And he's like, "You're right, Barry. We are out here. We are severely out here, Barry. We're on Mars."
I love that quote, though, because it almost makes me, like, I don't believe this dude at all, but if I did, it would make me believe him a little bit more that quote is so incredibly mundane.
Because you know Barry Obama threw him the wink when he said it, too. Wink, we're here. You know, like he's just suave like that.
Like if I were making up that story, I would make up a better quote that the president said to me on Mars than "we're here."
Catch you on the flip side. Nope, we're here.
Oh, man.
It is pretty mundane.
Obama's CIA handlers needed him to, quote, acclimate Martian humanoids and animals to human presence.
Sure.
In order to secure the U.S.-Martian alliance.
And why was Barry particularly suited for this gig?
Because through the use of their time-traveling technology, they knew that he was going to be president later.
Oh, sure.
And so they needed him to build this U.S.-Martian alliance before he became president.
That makes sense.
Yep.
You gotta like indoctrinate him so that when he gets to the first day on the job, he's not like opening the suitcase for the first time and being like, "What in the fuck?" He's like, "Oh no, these are my bros. I know them from way back. Let's go holler at him."
And in the other direction, the Martians are like, "Oh, tight. We know Barry. He's cool. We won't blow up the U.S."
Well, now we're at risk, though.
Well, yeah, for being chrononauts, they didn't see that one coming, apparently.
Yeah, true story.
Or they did, and it's part of their weird conspiracy plan.
They did, and they didn't do anything about it, and they just said LOL.
They gave up.
LOL.
I think that's what I got, man.
That's real. So, okay, so is there any shred of you that is like, there's some truth to this?
Yes.
To what extent?
I think the idea of events somehow being recorded in ways that we don't understand, or like via the traditional methods that we use to record events.
Yes.
Is possible.
Yes.
And I think there probably is some truth to the Vatican having access to things that we don't know about.
Yes. Okay. I'm relatively with you so far.
And even in this extreme stretch of a made-up story that we ended with, I think there could be some truth to the Vatican at least having communication with government agencies.
Yes.
And maybe working on behalf of or with or supplying information and things to different governmental agencies. That seems plausible to me.
I would agree with you on that as well, especially with what we know too about like not only how much money the Vatican has at their disposal, but also like the Vatican has their own fucking telescope, and like, you know, there are things that they have access to that, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and they're under no obligation to anyone about any of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's an element of it too that's like, hey man, maybe they just like record everybody's confessionals and they just go like, hey, dear CIA, we know what all these people did last week because they had to tell Jesus about it.
And we are Jesus.
And we are Jesus.
Cue the emails.
Hey, we didn't get any emails like that were mad about our jokes last week, which is great.
I just deleted them all before you read them, bro.
Wait, did we actually get some?
I just put in a new Gmail filter that anything with the word Jesus in it goes to spam.
You don't know Jesus? Well, we don't know. We don't know your email.
I don't think we did get any.
Hey, thanks, guys. Look, we're all here for fun. It's just for fun. Everything is funny to us. Literally, like almost literally everything is funny to us.
I don't know about everything.
Almost literally. I corrected myself. So we gotta go ahead.
Oh, any final thoughts?
We got a couple.
Do you believe any of this shit?
Do I believe any of this shit? I track with you on pretty much every element of like what you track on. Like, I think there are elements of leaving energy in spaces. I believe there's potential to have the Vatican cooperating with governments and agencies. I even believe to some extent that Ernetti tried some of this stuff. Like I believe there. That's a
good point.
There is an element of this that is like, I believe he was working on something like this or thinking about something like this.
Yeah,
and I don't think it got to the extent that we are told in all these fucking blog spots that he got to it on. But between the books and the news articles and the deathbed confessions, if real, etc., I see some element of like there's a thread. I mean, we come to this conclusion a lot, but like there's a thread here that's real that gets blown out of proportion. But I think the thread again is valid. That that he was probably working on something, that the Vatican hides stuff in their secret library. That they work with government agencies, and that energy can be left and potentially read in spaces. I just don't know if all of those things neatly tie as together as directly as the story makes it out to be.
They definitely don't. But I agree with you.
And that's the closing allegedly of the show.
Before we get out of here, we just want to let you know we are going to take the next 2 weeks off from releasing new episodes.
Cue the collective thousands of gasps.
Well, our next 2 episodes would be scheduled to come out on Christmas Day and New Year's Day.
And guys, we're going to be honest.
We have put out 115 consecutive episodes without a week off, which is over 2 years. So we're going to take 2 weeks off for Christmas.
We need a breather, you guys. But hey, never fear. We'll be back. Tell a friend to tell a friend that this is a pod you love and listen to, and bring them to it in the new year. Also, to your point about us taking a quick breather for a couple weeks over the next 2 weeks, we are going to be taking a breather here on the free show, but we are going to still be putting up the paid shows every week. We've had a bunch of new Patreon listeners. For those that don't know, patreon.com/whatifpodcast. If you just chuck in $5 a month, you get an additional four episodes of the show every single month. So instead of just the 4 free episodes, you get an additional 4. So a total of 8 episodes every month. Plus, you get access to a back catalog that's approaching 70 episodes now of the show that go back again like over a year and a half. So you get that too for $5 a month. So if you want to stay in touch with us and you want to keep hearing the show over the holiday season, it's just $5 and it's patreon.com/whatifpodcast. And we'll still be coming out on Fridays or so every week over the holiday season.
All right, bud.
We love you guys. Thank you for supporting the show. As always, have a very happy holiday. We hope your family times are good and not bad. And if they're bad, God bless liquor. Have a happy new year. We're going to make it a great one. And we appreciate all your love and support throughout the year, you guys. We'll see you in 2019.
Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Hey, Merry Christmas, boys. This is Bear Buttercup down here in Indiana. Hope you guys have good holiday, good New Year's, and really enjoyed your recent stuff. Keep looking forward to every new show you put out. So, good luck to you boys. Keep doing what you're doing.